We just entered Medicine Hat about 5 minutes ago, and so I just thought I'd go and start recording. I ate maybe an hour ago in Brooks, and I got some fuel there too. So I won't be stopping, but I turned it on because coming up on the right side, which I've pointed the camera at, is a giant teepee. It's a medicine. It's a teepee is basically think of it as a tent that a primitive tent that indigenous people would live in. They could be taken down quickly, and they could be put up rather quickly too. They would use indigenous people on the prairies. They were migratory tribes, and there's a teepee right there. It's a massive metal structure. Obviously, it's not a real teepee, but since it's metal and not made out of wood and hide, but yeah, it exists. It's a giant teepee. I wish I had researched the symbolism at some point, but I've just always passed it and have never really thought about it. But it's cool. Medicine Hat is the community where we're at as a college. It's a fairly large, it's a medium-sized city. Like, it's bigger than some cities on the prairies, but not as big as Calgary. And we'll be passing right through it. Anyways, back to what I was saying about, oh yeah, it's the world's tallest teepee. That's why it's significant. We'll be passing by a few of the world's tallest things on this trip. We just passed the world's tallest teepee. Now, and Moose Jaw has the world's tallest moose. But that's another story. Teepees. I was talking about teepees. Yeah, typically they were used by Indigenous people, First Nations people of Canada, particularly the Plains Cree and the Dene people and a few others that I can't quite think of at the moment. But yeah, teepees were made out of wood. They were made out of buffalo hide typically, and they could be put up and taken down quite easily as the buffalo herds moved. And these First Nations Indigenous peoples would follow the tribes, follow the buffalo herds, and often because it was their food source. And then settlers came through the fur trade, and first Indigenous peoples were often used to hunt down the buffalo, and then sold that fur to fur traders, who would bring it back out east to sell to European markets, and particularly Britain was a huge purchaser of pelts from North America. Eventually, however, the buffalo of the Canadian prairies were hunted to extinction by the 1890s, and the only reason there are buffalo today in Canada at all is because we've transplanted them from other parts of North America, particularly in the southeastern part of the United States. We transplanted a number of buffalo to Canada, so that there's still buffalo, but it's not the original buffalo that used to live here. They were hunted to extinction, which is really quite sad. But I don't know. Anyways, this is just my ramble about Medicine Hat. I'm going to get around this truck really quickly because I've been following it for the last 10 minutes. Yeah. This is your typical prairie city, though. There's a highway right on the edge of the city, and the whole city is actually in a giant valley. And the reason we would, there's a reason why we construct cities like this, because back in the day, like when we didn't have indoor heating or air conditioning is that you were subject to the elements. So you would build your house kind of in a dugout or kind of in a big valley, so that, because prairie wind is actually quite harsh, especially in the wintertime. It doesn't blow hard. It's not like Kansas or anything, but it's really harsh weather. So the wind would blow and the snow would blow, and the valleys would provide protection against against the elements. We're exiting Medicine Hat now, and I know it doesn't look like it's a big city, but that's because it was actually all in a valley on the other side of the highway. So we didn't really get a good look at it, but yeah, it's just a typical Canadian town from the Midwest. Eventually, it outgrew the valley it was in, and that's kind of when around the same time that the Canadian Pacific Railroad was built. Medicine Hat became an important trade hub for the prairies, as it would connect to a lot of the smaller towns around here and provide them with goods through carts and wagons and trucks and sometimes train lines. There's also a series of canals throughout Alberta that they would use to bring coal from the mountains of BC down the river to bring out to the east to fuel the factories out there. Obviously, we don't use the canals anymore, but they exist, and they're quite interesting because you're occasionally driving down the grid road and you'll see like where the canal used to be, and you can see like there were train lines along it too, and yeah, it's just, the prairies aren't a barren place, but they're also really interesting. The speed limit, however, is also quite fast. Much faster than in BC. Like, we can go up to 120, sometimes 130 kilometers per hour, instead of the usual 90 in British Columbia. That's because if you fall asleep at the wheel here, you can just keep driving until you run out of gas. Just point and drive. Anyways, this is just an outlying part of, this is Dunmore technically, would be this municipality. It's a kind of an outlier to Medicine Hat, and I've never actually visited. I don't know anything about it. So, I do know they have a, yeah, I do know they have a gas station. I've never been though. Or I've been once, but normally I just pass through. Anyways, that's all I had to say. I'll catch you later.